Welcome to the Q.A.C. Team Podcast, your quality assurance consulting team. Quality is our highest priority for your business with one goal, one direction, success. And now here's your host, Charles Luttrell. Good afternoon, listeners. I'm here with Jason. Jason, good afternoon. How are you?
All right. How you doing, Charles?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for coming on. Jason, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Jason Robertson. I am the co-founder and co-owner and currently head brewer for Susky Beverage Company. It's a farm brewery located in Perryville, Maryland.
Nice. Perryville, Maryland. So tell everybody, why did you decide to be a business owner?
That's a long and loaded question. Really,
loaded question. Hey, I get that from everybody.
Yeah. So, well, it just, I've always loved craft beer, and it always seemed like a business that I would enjoy being in. My day job is currently a budget analyst for the VA Maryland healthcare system, which is good. It's dealing with government finance. It's a lucrative career field, but nothing beats being your own boss. I think as Americans, we typically dream of that. But this kind of, to say I tripped and fell into it would be kind of how it happened. So the old man, my father, was looking for some hunting property, and he just wanted like a couple acres somewhere in the woods. And my stepmom turned his search for a couple acres in the woods into, oh, hey, there's this farm that's a few $100,000 more. It's bank owned. Let's get that, 59 acres, plenty of room to hunt. And then they bought it, and we're trying to figure out how to monetize it. And, I was like, hey, farm breweries are up and coming in Maryland. This is a few years ago. Since then, there have been about a dozen more pop up, but there were just a couple, locally. Mm-hmm. I'd spent some time in Austria and, really fell in love with the beer garden and beer culture there. And, I feel like that was something that we could replicate. And, the view of the Susquehanna River from the farm is really spectacular. And, right away I'm like, hey, let's make this a destination. It's a shame to just keep this to ourselves, Uh-huh. And so far, folks have really enjoyed it. I will tell you that going into business is tough, but going into business with family is tougher.
Tougher, right?
Trying
That's a fact.
Trying to, clearly delineate the lines between like a family gathering and social event and business has been really tough,
Yeah, I could definitely relate to that. Absolutely. Yeah. So 59 acres, that's a lot, man. That's a lot of upkeep, right?
It is.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what the farm offers and what the brewery offers.
Right now we have about 10 products on tap. We had looked at growing our own grain, but to be able to go through the malting process would have taken a lot of equipment and a lot of space, buildings that we would just have to build. And we didn't really have the resources to do that at the time. So we opted to go for growing hops because with Maryland, the state licensing for farm breweries, you have to grow at least one of the products that go into your finished product on the farm. So we opted to go for hops, and we tried out a couple different varieties and found that Cascades really grow well in our climate and on our soil. And we started growing some of our adjuncts, blueberries, stuff like that. So,
yeah, very cool. So, my mind is thinking, farm and brewery and all, and then we talked about, why'd you decide to be a business owner? You're in with your family. So why, I'm just curious, why did you choose this industry? Was it something that you guys, you were doing prior to this? Because I know, your full-time job is totally different. What made you choose this industry for a brewery?
Yeah. Well, it's just the setting I thought would be
Hmm.
it would be perfect. Agritourism is really big in our area, and you know,
Especially down by the Susquehanna. Absolutely, right? Yeah.
it is the opportunity to have a place to just relax.
Hmm.
And not a lot of stress. Maybe connect with nature a little bit. We have
Hmm.
a couple trails that lead to creeks and stuff on the farm, and it's just really something cool to do for an afternoon. It's something that, like, right away. I mean, I have a 10-year-old. He was 6 at the time. When we started this venture, and right away, I'm like, yeah, this is something that I would come to with my kid and spend the day. We have some livestock that the kids love to pet, like our goats and all. Oh my God, the kids love them. So it's just a really friendly, family-friendly atmosphere.
Hmm.
Craft beer has been something that I've always enjoyed. And again, I mean, years ago, if you had asked me 10 years ago what my dream job would be, it would have been, to be in the brewing industry, just because it seemed like something that I would like.
Right.
And, I've been brewing with buddies of mine, on like a weekend in a garage, and
Hmm.
just decided, hey, why don't I just try and make that a business? And here we are. And I'm a Army veteran, and it seems like all my veteran friends that own businesses are either doing t-shirts, coffee, or beer. In
Hmm.
fact, there's like a joke. Oh, look, another veteran-owned coffee shop or coffee company. Like,
Oh, jeez.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I want to say thank you for your service. Appreciate it.
That's cool.
Really do appreciate it. So the farm and the things that you offer, do you have like tours, a brew tour, like how you do things? And do you have people that talk about, how with the livestock and things like that?
We don't have anything set, but the entire family is there every day of operations.
Hmm.
And we've had the opportunity to have folks, lots of different breweries have come up to just visit,
Hmm.
um, and the whole community, the brewing community, has just been phenomenal. I mean, they've welcomed us with open arms and have helped us out in a lot of ways, and it's been great. I can't speak highly enough of people that would be your competitors are really not treating you like that. They're really treating you like, oh, this is good for all of us because it's one more thing in our community that bring people, to this area.
Hmm.
And we all offer different things, so it's cool. We've gotten to get a lot of good insight there. But when folks come up, we've had a lot of people that'll come up and they'll ask specific questions about the beer and our process, and I'm able to field that. Or they'll ask
Hmm.
specific questions about, the hops, and that's kind of like my stepmom's territory. She's taken over growing all of our hops and our adjuncts.
Hmm.
Or if they have questions about what events that they can do up there, my wife has kind of taken on that role.
Hmm.
Or questions about the land and or the infrastructure. My father's been fielding that. So we haven't had
Okay.
like necessarily tours, but we have had the opportunity when folks, come up with questions that we've been able to walk them through the hop garden and
Hmm.
walk them down the trail and, walk them back to check out our brewing equipment and go through our process. And, I kind of enjoy that because you can nerd out a little bit and I can
Yeah,
learn a
right.
lot, So.
Right. And that was my next question was going to be, I think, to hit back on the competition, right? Isn't it's like everybody's beer is different, right? There's like no two beers the same. So you're brewing your own, right? They're brewing their own. So it's a great way to have each other try each other's beers, correct? I'm not a brew man. I don't know anything about brewing. So that's your field. So you tell me. Am I right?
Yeah, it's been great. So like we started the process of opening this business in April of 2020. And by October of 2020 we had our official business license and all together. And then by that spring of 2021 we had started brewing, just test batches while we were also building the infrastructure up. And
Hmm.
in that time, we started doing like some beer festivals, some community events with other folks from other breweries, and all of whom have opened up since. So, spring of 2020, there were no breweries in our area, and then fast forward to today, 2023, we've got one less than a mile from us, two in downtown Havre de Grace, and then one farm brewery, Hopkins, right outside of the town of Havre de Grace, and then we've got a couple that have opened within the Conowingo area, Elkton area, so
Hmm.
all around us, like everybody kind of popped up at once. So it's almost like we grew up together in a way.
Hmm.
Uh, we were one of the last to open, but we had been doing this just as long. We just had, a lot of other challenges to deal with the farm.
Hmm.
But we've had like the folks at Fifth Company over in Perryville, like downtown Perryville, for example. We
Hmm.
went to a couple of festivals with them, got to meet them. They tried our product, we tried theirs, and then they've had a couple of events where they've actually like, bought a keg from us to put on tap as like a guest tap. So we've been able to play with them. Um,
Great.
we did an event at the Wellwood for Harvest Host, which is like a Cecil County agricultural dinner,
Hmm.
and or I'm sorry, Cecil Grown Harvest Dinner. There we go. And we met the guys from Elkton, which Elkton Brewery, which turns out I knew the owner from way back in the day from his past business,
Hmm.
and we hit it off. And they ended up like bringing us to their place and let us try out some stuff. And while we were there, gave us some pointers. The guys from Independent came over since we've opened, and gave me some pointers and all that good stuff. So it's just like I said, man. It's been a really good positive process
Hmm.
in that respect. Our competitors have really become our friends in many ways,
Yeah.
and we've kind of been able to feed off of each other, learn from each other. We see what each other's doing on social media, and like you'll be like, "Oh, that's a good idea," and then I'll see like another brewery do exactly what I just did, and and I'm like, "Yeah, their thing is good." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Exactly.
yeah,
Small business helping small business, right? You visit each other, try out your beer, and that's good stuff.
yeah, we gotten with this group called Hartford Brew Tours, and they basically set up like a bus on the weekend, and for a couple bucks you can hop on the bus and they'll go to 3 to 5 breweries in a day.
Hmm.
you know, and like we're one of the stops now, which is great because that's bringing more people over across the bridge. So the breweries that are on our side of the bridge are really excited because you know the more stops that you have in that area, the more inclined tour groups like that are to stop in your area. So it helps everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that truck parked on the parking lot across from Independent. And I look at it all the time, like Independent, and I see that the brew tour. Like, I really got to talk to those guys. I want to interview them. They're on my list.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they're cool. The
Yeah.
guy, what's his name? Eric.
Eric.
Don't ask me how to pronounce his last name. It ends in a ski, though.
Okay. I have to reach out to them. But yeah, leading into my next question, you briefly touched on it, earlier. So what are some of the challenges that you face, with what you're doing and what you're working on? I know, you're like me, you're working full time, you're trying to run the brewery, and getting this thing going. What are some of the challenges that you guys have had?
Yeah, I mean, learning how to brew, learning how to scale up your product has been challenging. Uh, I think you hit the nail on the head with the time. I mean, I'm full time with the federal government, part time Havre de Grace City Council, part time Army Reserves. I'm also the vice commander at my local American Legion, um, and a whole bunch of things that I just can't say no to. Plus, raising a kid, so finding the extra time to do things is a challenge.
Yeah.
And we're all my entire family. I mean, we all work, outside of doing this. So
Hmm.
this is really something that hopefully, when it gets off the ground, we'll be able to draw an income.
Hmm.
But for now, it's just a labor of love.
Labor of
That's been
love.
challenging. Getting to this point where we were able to open has been challenging. Just trying to maintain your vision, trying to remember why you're doing this and what the long term goal is,
Hmm.
has been probably what's kept us going. Uh, the farm was bank owned for like 5 years before we got it, and then before that, it was kind of let go. So a lot needed to be done on the farm. to get the buildings up to snuff,
Hmm.
and serviceable. In order to do the beer production, we had to increase our total power output on the farm,
Hmm.
to 400 amps. So, getting the electric run, getting the new well and pump put in to run the brew house on its own, and then building out tap room and trying to figure out exactly what we wanted to do. And a lot of that's been shooting from the hip, which frustrates me. But being that I'm not in total control, uh, I
Yeah, because
can't.
it involves more than one decision, right? There's all these decision makers now, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Right.
everyone in my family are, we're all very dominant type A personalities, very
Oh no.
controlling. Um, so there's not a lot of give there. Uh, and from my perspective, man, I mean, doing the brewing, I mean, it's just been, you know, like really uh hoping for the best, because we weren't able to get our 5 barrel system online until this past year.
Hmm.
And we had like a festival, a beer festival that we were doing, and it gave me just enough time from the day that it came online to the day that we had to be at the festival. I think I had like a 4-day window
Hmm.
between the two that I could, get the kegging and all that stuff done after the brew and after the fermentation and all that stuff. And it was my first time scaling up,
Hmm.
and using this 5 barrel system. So, there's been a lot of pressure there. Um,
Yeah. So this
trying to make.
land, so not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but so this land
Yeah.
you bought didn't have had nothing on it, but
No, it
but
had
farm buildings, right?
yeah, it had a couple farm buildings and the old stables and
Right.
an old house on it.
Hmm.
And
And you guys worked hard through 2020, through the pandemic, right? Because that was pandemic time
yeah,
to really get this where it is today.
yeah, yeah, which
That's
the
impressive.
pandemic brought its own challenges because material shortages and the
Mhm.
labor shortages, like so. We
Yeah.
really got delayed and having to wait just for the copper wire and stuff like that to come in, and then the contractors to be available to install it and all that good stuff.
Yeah, that was my next question, because I know, talking about the challenges you had, just by getting the land and having to fix things, plus you started this in 2020, you got it from a bank, now we're up to, the question of how's the pandemic changed your business model? We know you've had challenges like everybody has, with the pandemic. Talk a little bit about that.
I mean, our business model hasn't really changed.
Hmm.
Um, we're mostly an outdoor venue. I mean, we have a tap room, but folks prefer to sit outside, under the trees or on the patio and
Hmm.
overlook the river. Which, in pandemic times, I mean, that's kind of a benefit. So
That's
honestly,
what you want. Yeah.
if we had been able to open earlier, I think we would have done better off,
Hmm.
out the gate. But
Yeah. Praise all the food trucks. That was like gold time for them.
yeah, yeah,
they
exactly.
were they were loving the pandemic.
Hmm.
Yep. Oh man.
So I mean, right now we're focused, like, 3 years ago, our business plan included a lot of off-site sales, going to retail, going to restaurants, stuff like that. Um, and just from a practical standpoint, being able to produce enough for that, and then looking at the actual margins, I mean, it's really not worth it for us. We're 3 years has made quite a bit of a difference in, like the brewing industry side of the house. A lot of
Mhm.
breweries have closed specifically because of the pandemic, because they were, indoors, or because they relied heavily on like packaged goods sales. And if you look at any liquor store right now, I mean, the whole fridge is just full of craft beer from all over the place. And now, my local liquor stores, I mean, I can even get the local farm breweries right there,
Mhm.
at the beer store. So it's really not, not something that we're looking at, uh, short term right now. I mean, long term, we like to get some packaged goods out there. We like to be in some restaurants and bars, and we will. But right now, you know, shifting our focus entirely to on-site sales has been the biggest deviation from our initial concept to now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my next question. Was how long do you think it'll be before you see yourself getting these, into liquor stores and things?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that, I'm hoping to do some canning over the winter, but it really depends on what our volume output will be at that time.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have to buy some additional equipment, and I just don't know from an economic standpoint whether it's worth it to do that. The margins on retail sales are just so low. Uh, even like even if you're selling taps for draft, to local establishments, it's just so low.
Uh-huh.
And the guys that I talk to that are in the space now, say that 100%. Like, focus on your own site sales.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I've talked to a couple local breweries that are doing retail. They're doing doing bars and restaurants in the area and all that good stuff. And they're not making money off of that. If anything, it's just free marketing for them to
Uh-huh.
drive people to their tap room, hopefully one day eventually.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Profit margins, that's key. If you can't make money on it, it's no sense in wasting the time, right?
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
and I don't want anything to detract from my on-site sales. I mean,
Yeah,
I
that's
can sell a
bring
keg
people in there,
off-site
right?
for between 80 and 120, on-site between 5 and 700, depending on what it is. So
Right. You guys have live music as well there with the food
we
trucks?
do. Yep.
Great. Great. Awesome. So how do we find you? How do we contact you?
So our website is www.suskyriver. That's SUSKYRIVER.com. Or on Instagram at Susky River. That's SUSKYRIVER. Or Facebook, Susky River.
Oh, great. And the hours of operation, you guys are Friday and Saturday right now?
Yeah, right now
Mm-hmm.
we're still under our quote unquote uh, soft opening. We're looking to do a grand opening in October and hopefully expand to Sundays by then as well.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So grand opening is in October. I'm gonna have to show up for that. Absolutely. Check out the brewery.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
See it. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you spending some time with me. Great story. Do you have anything else that you want to add?
No, brother, I think I've said everything that I need to say. I just hopefully folks come up and visit us and have a good time, spend the day, and we're selling an excellent view with good enough beer.
Hey, what can we ask for, right?
Yeah.
Excellent view with good beer. Awesome. Jason, I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, man.
All right, brother, you do the same. Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you so much. Yes, sir. Take care, man.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Q.A.C. Team Podcast with your host, Charles Luttrell. Connect with us on the web at qacteam.com, Facebook and Instagram at qac.team. Thanks for listening.